What's up? What's up, everybody? Hey, you're doing a Facebook Live right at sunset. I mean, perfect timing, right? Like, take a look at that. Sunset. Right at the time. Perfect, huh? So I just got out here right in time. And wanted to bust out a little Facebook Live for everybody. And this week I figured I'd talk about kind of experience, and experience as being a great teacher. I'll just, let me get some sunset in here. It looks so nice out here. There we go. Awesome, isn't that? Take a look. The surfers are out there and everything. Super nice, huh? A little chilly out, but hopefully you guys can hear me too. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, post in the chat just that you're here and that you can hear me a little bit, and that we can go ahead and get started. But yeah, let me know that you're here. I'm wrote down a few notes and everything. I tried to take some notes throughout the week of just things that have happened, and wanted to talk, just a little bit about sort of what's been going on and why experience is the greatest teacher, right? Because in this game, what I'm doing right now is I got a self-storage deal that I'm under contract with, and right now, working towards closing it. We've got it under contract for about 2 weeks now, and now that it's under contract, we're just, we're going through the steps that we've always kind of gone through every time that we put something under contract. And let me see. Hey, Paria. Hey, how you doing? Just want to say hi and everything, and give you a little wave. But once you get something under contract, a lot of times, it becomes something that you've done before and that you have experience doing. But a lot of times there's the kind of like wrenches thrown at you, or kind of things that happen to you that are a little bit different. And so right now, I was just going to talk this week a little about, there's a lot of things that happen that you think are kind of normal, but like experience teaches you, it's not really normal. So you have to kind of go through that whole experience, right? Hey, Mark. Appreciate it. Thank you for joining. For the rest of you too who are on here, feel free to type in something if you got any questions. I usually like to answer questions and things like that on here. I don't really just like to lecture and just talk. I like to have some more interaction and everything. So, so this week, one thing that was experience-wise that was a great teacher. What's up, Frank? How's it going, buddy? One thing that's been a great teacher is really on the lending side. So the lending side of self-storage has been very different for me than it has been for doing any type of deals in multifamily, right? Because it looks like when you're acquiring your first property, self-storage wise, that you're often going with banks, and you're often going with either local bank, regional bank, some type of bank, and the banks underwrite you differently, right? Because they're underwriting you personally, and they're also underwriting the deal, but because they're focusing on you so much, they want to see a lot of information about you, okay? So like one thing that I was talking about to one of the lenders today was really about, okay, so when it comes to individual people that are going to be guarantors of the loan, is a situation like when they underwrite us, do they underwrite each individual person, or do they underwrite us as a group? And if one person is kind of weak, then they just say, okay, well, that's okay because the rest of the group is pretty strong. And so when you're doing multifamily syndications, I think you guys know the answer to that, right? You guys know what the answer would be. So, hey, Malcolm. Hey, Chris. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. And while you guys are here, Madeline, while you guys are here, Chris, everybody, feel free to chime in and write some things. Tell me, ask me any questions or anything. So write any comments. I'd love to hear some comments. But getting back to whether you're underwriting and whether the banks are underwriting you personally, individually, each of you. So if there's 4 of us, are they individually underwriting each of us, or are they kind of collectively underwriting us as a group? And excuse me, sorry. Whoa. Sorry about that. Whoa. That was my lunchtime. But the answer came back. It was very different than the multifamily syndications. The answer came back actually that they're underwriting each of us, and that if one person is weak, they will almost take us down. And I was like, really? That's surprising to me that like the rest of the group can be very strong, but if one person's kind of weak, and they will basically deny the deal. And the answer came back is yes, is that they could deny the deal because of that. So going forward, you got to know who's going to be in your deal, who's going to be the signers of the loan. That's going to be very important. Hey, Nelson, appreciate it. Thanks for joining. So that's going to be a really kind of a key thing to understand who is going to be your signers of the loan. So let me give you some examples of what they want as a signer of the loan. Just want to say hi, Anthony Condor. Thanks for showing up. So they said, okay, so they want income. So they want to see income, and they want to see low debt. Okay, and let's see, and they want to see cash. Okay, and obviously those are things that anybody's going to want to see as a borrower. But understand that if you are a business owner, a lot of times business owners don't have like those. They aren't showing that on their tax returns, right? They're not showing a bunch of income and then low expenses and then a bunch of cash, right? That's not really what a business owner is going to want to show, right? So if your partners are business owners, they're probably not showing those particular things, right? They're people that are going to show those type of things on their tax return are more like W-2 earners, right? So people that have a job, that have a good paying job and that have low debt and that are, probably have cash saved up and that they have some consistent income coming in. So that's a kind of a different thing that you need to understand. Of like, if you're going for a bank loan, what type of guarantors that you're going to want to have with you, right? So hopefully that's something that you guys can pick up on, and hopefully that's some information that certainly I didn't know before, and I kind of find out all of that earlier this week. So lending, they're obviously looking specifically at 3 years of your tax returns, right? So they want to see 3 years of your tax returns. Hey Mark, hey Zach, just want to say hi to you guys. Thanks for joining, appreciate it. So they're going to see 3 years of your tax returns. So 3 years of your tax returns, and if your income is declining, that's not good for them. They don't want to see that. So they're kind of like, if they notice that you're declining income in the past 3 years, they're going to be very wary of you, especially if you're a business owner, right? And you're showing not that much income and to begin with, and it's declining. Just the banks aren't going to look favorably upon that, right? So let me see. If you're going for a property that's under $1 million, you probably are looking at a local bank or a regional bank or something like that. So just so you know, you're going to have to go through these processes of going through a bank and getting a bank loan, and then they're going to have certain requirements that are going to be a little bit different than, say, if you're doing a syndication or multifamily. All right. Let me talk a little bit more about the lending side and everything. It is going to be recourse debt if you're looking for a bank, right? So you're looking at recourse debt. A lot of times it's 20% or above that they're going to require. So I haven't even seen many that are allowing you to put 20% down. So a lot of these banks are asking for 25 to up to 40% down. And I was like, wow, okay, 25 to 40% down is very different than 20% down. All right. And let's see, they're looking at 5-year balloons. And the amortization I thought would be a little bit better. I was hoping to get at least 25 years on the amortization, but they've all been more like 20 years, even 15 years. And that kind of, that will affect your returns and everything. So you just got to going into it as far as lending wise, what you're looking at getting, all right? And obviously they want something that's more stable. So this is one of the things that like the banks want a stable property. They don't want to see your value add property that is going to eventually you're going to turn it around and do something like that. Now they may lend to you, but they're going to charge you higher rates. They're going to make you put in more down and things like that. That's not really what they want. They want to see a stable property. So those of us who are investors and a value add investor, and you plan on increasing the value, you have to work through a lot of these things. All right. I just want to say hi to Marco. Say hello to Sid as well. Thank you for joining. Madeline, you had a question. You said, do you underwrite a storage facility with the same Excel you do with multifamily? You do a lot of it. I would say it's all 100% the same. There's a couple things that are different, but in terms of like income and expenses, pretty much the same, right? So the income, you're going to look at income and all the various types of income, the rental income, plus the other types of forms of income, whether that's insurance or whether that's you're selling boxes or selling retail material or renting U-Hauls, things like that. Those are all different things that you can that will be in income, and then you want to look at expenses is fairly similar. Operating expenses, some of the fixed expenses as well. So those are pretty similar, but there are some differences as far as the underwriting as well too. But let me get into property management. Hey Jeffrey, appreciate you showing up. Thank you very much. If you got any questions, feel free to write them in. I'd love to answer some questions and get into some conversations with you guys. Property management. So this week we sort of solidified our property management. I think we're really kind of signing the agreement today, or just kind of right as we speak. But one thing that we did is we have our property manager go visit the property, right? Now in multifamily, a lot of times, see some of the differences in multifamily, usually a property manager is actually located in your region, right? If you're investing in Houston, well, your property manager is probably somewhere in Houston or has a lot of presence in Houston, right? Well, it happens to be that ours in self-storage is not as necessary. So they will travel to go visit your property. And ours, truthfully, I don't even know where they're located, but they went and traveled and visited ours, and ours is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So they were out there, Baton Rouge, and doing the physical due diligence. So we already had an inspection done, paid for an inspector to go out there, and we decided to have our property manager go out there as well and do the physical due diligence, right? Now you're asking sort of what is a property manager going to go out there and what are they going to look at? So I just wrote down a few things. They're looking at how many units are ready, how many units are ready to be rented, right? And ready to be rented means ready immediately, not like needs something to be rented out, right? So there was in ours, actually none of them were ready to be rented. They all needed to be cleaned if they needed to be, if they were going to be rented at this point. Let's see, they do lease audits, so they'll look at your leases and they'll go through the full audits of them and tell you whether or not they're good leases or not, whether they have all the right information, whether they have all the right contact information and everything like that. They will do also projections, so they look at projections as far as, for our property, it's 65% occupied at this point, and so the projections were of how fast can this property get up to, say, above 80% occupied, right? And so we want to find out from them, what do they feel? I know from us, what do we project, but we want to find out from them, what do they feel is a reasonable time. All right, so you're looking at projections. They've done a management audit, so they look at the manager there and they do an audit on that person and find out, is the person friendly, is the person neat, is the person organized, does the person have all the paperwork handy, does the person understand how to do lien sales and things like that. So they'll do a management audit. Other things that our property manager is heavily involved in is things like building our website and vendors and maintenance. Okay, so let me get into this, 3 different things. So in self-storage, your website is super important, okay? Just extremely important, because that's where everybody comes to really find you and potentially rent from you. And in our case, it's going to be where they're going to rent from us, because ours is going to be an automated facility. So it's super important to have a good person who knows how to design websites, has experience doing websites, but then also knows how to do all the behind the scenes part of it, right? Pay-per-click and all that stuff. Hey Joshua, say hi buddy. Thanks for joining. If you guys got any questions, please write them in. I wrote, the property manager also gets involved with the vendors. So there's other vendors involved, right? You have credit card vendors, you have, you have like your management software vendor, you have, signage, you have your gate vendor, you have all these different things, right? So our property manager is going to get involved in all of that and help us. They have experience doing all that. So they're going to be the ones that are really going to be bringing, their experience to the table and telling us, hey, you should probably use this company. This is who we've used before, and things like that. On the maintenance side, this is pretty surprising. So in general, you have to hire a maintenance person, right? You're going to hire somebody on the maintenance side who's got to come clean out your units, going to fix locks, going to cut locks, going to put an overlock on top of it, going to do a lot of the, just the general maintenance around the facility. Now, the property manager we talked to said, hey, you can hire that person or we can hire that person, either one. If you guys want to hire it, so like if I wanted to hire them, we could go out and hire that person, figure out who we want to, and then they would train that person, right? And they will manage that person all the time, and they'll make sure that person knows what they're doing. Or they said, hey, or we can hire that person internally and we can hire that person for you. It's just going to cost you some money. So I was like, okay, sure. So how much is that going to be? And they were like, $500. And I was like, $500? All right, that's a done deal. Like, you guys go hire them. Because when it comes down to hiring, right, who I may hire as a maintenance person may be totally different than what the property manager may hire as a maintenance person. And what I may figure as a strength of theirs, they may figure something totally different. And since they're going to have to be responsible for that person, it's, I think, well worth it to have them go ahead and hire that person. All right, so let me see. Some of the other things that kind of popped up that were pretty cool this week. So our property manager is pretty well known in the industry, has a really good reputation and everything. And they asked us, like, hey, what did you buy this property for? What are you under contract for? And we told them, and they were like, wow, really? Do you guys want to sell it to us? Because we'll buy it from you guys. And I was like, oh, that makes us feel better. It makes me feel like we got a good deal, and we got it under contract at a really good price. And so they mentioned it a couple times. They were like, hey, if you guys decide that you don't want this property, just let us know. I think I know a buyer who will be happy to buy this property and everything. So it makes us feel good. It makes us feel like not only do they want the property, they understand what is what needs to be fixed on the property, what can be fixed pretty easily, and they can make their projections and feel pretty good about their projections, and we feel good about their projections as well. So let me see. Last couple things here was just talking about legal. The legal side has been a little bit slow for us, but really that's kind of the LLC that you create where everybody is part of. In our case, we're doing joint ventures, so we're not doing syndications. And when you're doing a joint venture, everybody's part of that LLC. And so we just need to make that up right now and figure all that stuff. And I think we're pretty done. It just took a little while. It took a little longer than we needed, because everybody's asking, okay, well, what's the name of your company? Who's going to be the name on the title company's asking, what's your name? Who's going to be on it? The management company's asking, who's going to sign as the manager? What's the name of the company? What's the website going to be? What's the name of the business, and things like that. And so, all that said, you need to get bank accounts, and you need to have your investors, all the all the JV partners, all have to wire their money into that account and things like that. So, in essence, that's a way of kind of saying everything is kind of counted on the legal team to make sure that they've got everything in place. And so we think we've got it in place. Hey, Jenna, long time no see. I hope you're doing well. Good to see you on here. And so, everything is going well as far as the legal side. I think we've just kind of cleaned all that up in the last day or two, but that's kind of been a little bit of a learning experience. And I know that somebody asked previously, when you have a property, say I live in California, but the property's in Louisiana, do you have an entity created here in California, or do you have an entity created in Louisiana, right? And so my suggestion, and again, I'm not a lawyer or anything or whatever, but I've done it both ways, and I just suggest that you just do it over there. So just do it in the state that you own the property in. So if you own a property outside of the state of California, you just have to have a lawyer in that state create your LLC, and then you can just have them created. Just create the entity that way. It's a little easier. Okay, and a little bit, I just think it's a better way to do it. Let's see, so let me see. Any questions? I kind of threw a lot of information out there about lending, about due diligence with our property manager, and about them being on site, as well as some of the legal aspects of kind of what's going on, and just talking about how, hey, sometimes you think you know what you're going to do, and sometimes you think you've gone through the process and everything like that, but it would be good to, but you learn a lot. Like a lot of times you don't really know in this way. It's something that's a little bit new and it's a little bit different, and so some things are, it's a learning experience the whole way. So that's why I kind of titled this one as like, experience is the great teacher, right? It's the best teacher, because I think that when you go through the process, you learn a lot more, and you learn to do it, not just read about it, not just listen to podcasts about it, not just talk to people about it, but actually getting out there and doing it is really where it's, that's where the rubber meets the road, as they like to say. So that all said, give me some questions, anything that I can answer about either about multifamily, about investing, about putting a deal under contract, I try to do these things every Friday, just to just do these Facebook Lives every Friday, just to kind of catch up with everybody with what's going on during the week and things that you can expect if you're under contract, or if you have a self-storage deal and it's your first one like it is mine and my partner's, then what you kind of go through as it being your first one. And so happy to answer any questions. So feel free to ask any questions and let me know how things are going. And also, just since I have a couple of you on here too, Multifamily Masters, inside of this group, we're putting together a December event, and that December event is going to be December 14th, putting together what's called Express to Success. So hopefully you guys can all show up. It's basically going to be a rapid fire live stream with 15 different speakers, and all from outside of multifamily, and all people that can basically help you take your life to the next level in something else that's besides multifamily investing. So I hope you can all join. It's going to be free. It's going to be awesome. And it's going to be our big event in December. So, well, appreciate that, Madeline. I know it's kind of a nice view just to come out to the beach, right? And just kind of take a look. The sun already set here, but it's, it's still really nice. The sun's kind of setting. People are still kind of hanging out and everything. And yeah, it's nice. It's kind of coming up on winter time now, but so it's a little colder, so I have to wear a jacket out here, but it's not that bad. It's actually pretty nice. So yeah, Madeline, it's after your birthday. It's a great way to celebrate. Sure. Are we asking for the link for the Multifamily Masters event? Is that what you're asking for, Madeline? If that's what you're asking for the link, we're going to put it out soon, so we just don't have it up yet. Okay, so we're just kind of finalizing the last couple things with like the Zoom channel and everything. But like we'll just keep you'll see some advertisement coming out for it, so pretty quickly here soon. So yeah, very cool. So Nelson, Harry, appreciate the question here. Nelson Lee, what kind of rates are you looking for self-storage? What is the upside for storage units when you're looking to purchase? Okay, so in terms of rates are kind of similar to bank rates at this time, right? So if you're looking at getting a bank loan on any commercial property, it's probably around 5%. Is what you're probably seeing. You might have to pay an origination point or two or things like that. So somewhere around, the quotes that I was getting was somewhere around 4.75 to 5.25%. So 4.75 to 5.25%. So somewhere around 5%, I guess, would be the rates that you're seeing right now. Is that what you meant as far as lending? You might be asking what are the rates and how much do the units cost? I'm not really sure if you meant how much are the units running for. I guess it depends on the size of the unit, right? So it could be anything from like a 5, could be anything from like I think our 5x5. So a 5x5 unit is renting out at like $35. I believe it's $35 a month. 5x10 is $45 a month. I think that's what their advertised rate is at our property right now, right? So we're planning on, just so you know, we're planning on kind of keeping those rates. We're not really increasing those rates just yet because our occupancy is a little low. So we need to get our occupancy up before we do anything like that. And I think your other question was, what is the upside for storage units, right? What's the upside for self-storage units? So in terms of our property, that's what really the upside is that it's not really, sometimes the upside can be a number of things. It can be expansion, like you're gonna build some new self-storage units, right? They don't cost that much to build, or you can even trailer in some of these containers, shipping containers and things like that. You can convert those and put those there. So you can do expansion. You can, in our case, it's just occupancy is very low. It's like 65%. So our whole goal is really to get it up to above 80%. So that's really what it is for us. But there's also a lot of other income you can do, right? You can get a commission for insurance. So if you have your renters, if you charge insurance for them, it might be like $10 insurance, and then you might split that and get like 50-50 or so. You can have a U-Haul. If you have U-Haul trucks there, you rent U-Hauls there. You can do that. You can rent out spaces for just trailers and RVs and boats and things like that. So if you have space, you can rent those out. Yeah, there's a number of different things that, I mean, there's probably like 30 different things that you can do really with storage. You can sell boxes, you can sell retail types of things like that. I'll tell you with one of ours, right? Since we're doing an automated facility, so ours is, think of it as everything is done online, right? So you're not coming in, you're not visiting anybody, and you're not talking to anybody. You're just doing it all online. It's all, you can sign the lease online. You get the gate code online. You can and then as soon as you get the gate code, you can go inside, and there's a lock inside of the storage unit for you. And you put that lock on, and it's your unit. But because our facility is all automated, but we still have an office, right? So what are we going to do with an office, right? It's like, it's like a 3-room office, and it has a bathroom and a shower, right? So obviously for us, we're going to rent it out, right? Because that's just additional money, right? And you rent the office out for, $800, $1,000 a month, or whatever it is. I mean, that's a lot of storage units. If you think of, you're renting out a 5x10 at $50 a unit, and you're going to rent out one office building for $1,000, or maybe it's $800 a month. You're talking about that one office building, or, it makes a lot of money compared to, several different storage units, right? So there's another way that you can make money and things like that. Hey, John, thanks for showing up. Appreciate it. So let's see. Yeah, hopefully that answered your question, Nelson. Let me see. Madeline, you asked about, do you raise the rates yearly? So this will be, we're not on, like in our underwriting, we didn't raise our rates. We didn't raise our rates. Now we did some organic growth after 2 years. So in our underwriting, we didn't model any raising of rates. Now, can you raise rates every year? For sure. If the market allows you to do that. We didn't do it because of COVID and things like that, and we just wanted to be very conservative. So our first 2 years is flat, zero raise, and then 2 years every year after that, it's basically 2% growth. But in previous years, people in self-storage, actually they kind of use like a 7-month cycle, so that they will do basically every 7 months you'll see a raise. But everybody is on a month-to-month lease, right? So you can raise rates every month if you really wanted to. I mean, you'll have a lot of turnover at that particular point, but you could do that. So hopefully that answered your question there, Madeline. Appreciate you asking the question. Let me see. Any other questions that I can ask? You guys have been great today. It's been a good time. I've been staying warm out here, even though it's a little chilly, but it's not that bad. I'm sure it's a lot colder in other parts of the country, and I don't like to complain about being in cold weather when you can just sit on the beach in the middle of November, after sunset. So, but yeah, happy to answer any last questions. Otherwise, if I don't see you, I'll try to do this next week. I am going to a Tony Robbins event, so I don't know if any of you are going to UPW, but it's the UPW virtual event. I'm going to be going to that, so I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to do this live next week. I'm hoping to. I want to continue it, so I'll try to do it sometime, but I am going to be at the Tony Robbins event. It'll be my first time at one of his UPW type of events, so I'm excited about it. But that's it, everybody. Thank you for joining. Appreciate it. And if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to just write them in there. All right. I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you.